8 dumb fighters versus pro fighters. Though martial arts are the skills to earn the title of professional fighter, yet these novices think they have a chance to steal some thunder. Here are 8 dumb fighters versus pro fighters. Boxing coach takes a walk-in. Tattoo shops, nail salons, hairdressers. These are places that will sometimes take a walk-in appointment. A boxing gym, however, isn't the kind of walk-in that people usually want. It takes a lot of courage to enter a gym for the first time, but it takes a lot more stupidity to walk in, act like you know how to fight, then challenge a trained professional. That's what we see in this clip. The shirtless man came in off the street, signed a waiver that essentially said, "Whatever happens, happens," and then gloved up. As most of you could have guessed, this didn't end well for the challenger. The shirtless man seems to have never thrown a punch in his life by the looks of his offense, and he sure loves to defend shots with his face. A series of right hands was enough to flatten out the shirtless novice. Do you think this guy showed up the next day for a rematch? Or did he change his route to work just to avoid this gym? Accidentally taking a Muay Thai fight. We've tried and tried, but we can't come up with an idea as to how one could accidentally find themselves in a Muay Thai fight and act completely surprised when the Muay Thai fighter, Muay Thais. This guy entered the cage and seemed a bit clueless. Nonetheless, he still put on the gloves and engaged in battle. Now, it's one thing to enter a fight of any sort off of a whim if you know what you're doing, but this guy seemingly has never even had a punch thrown at him, let alone thrown a punch himself. Despite a clear size advantage for the step-in guy, the Muay Thai fighter rearranged the step-in fighter's organs with multiple body kicks. Eventually, the relative giant went down and realized that fighting really isn't a game. The gap between competitor and untrained is far too big, and a size advantage won't make up for a lack of skill. Bravery or stupidity? Where does this challenger find himself? Let us know what you think down below in the comments. While you're at it, drop a like on the video. A dummy's guide for finding out how well jiu-jitsu works. What do you do if you think jiu-jitsu doesn't work? Well, in the words of the great Eddie Bravo, look into it. Or go to one of Eddie Bravo's 10th Planet gym locations and challenge a coach. Up to you. Either way, you'll learn that jiu-jitsu works pretty damn well. When this street fighter wandered into the 10th Planet in Long Beach, California, he thought that he could make relatively easy work of Chai Sirasut. When Chai agreed to take on this challenger, he knew that this would be an easy way to display just how well this grappling art works. The challenger went as far as to ask if they could break knuckles when he really didn't get a chance to offer any threat whatsoever. Chai blasted through the challenger with a power double takedown and locked in a north-south choke just seconds later. This wasn't enough to deter the challenger, and he wanted to go again. Another double leg later, Chai passed the challenger's guard with ease and rear naked choke forced yet another tap. As the two squared up for a third go, the challenger quit before he could get even more embarrassed. As if that were possible. If you're liking the content, let us know by leaving a like and sharing the video. Hit that subscribe button and ding that bell icon so you never miss a future video. Street fighter messes with the wrong one. We don't really know the backstory to this one, but based on how the shirtless challenger approached the trained fighter in the cage, we're assuming that he's another person that thought his street fighting record is more impressive than the hours drilling techniques in the gym. The challenger is immediately met with a headlock that he blocked perfectly with his molars. A teep kick then sends the challenger to the mat where he would use his turtle on its back defense. Kidding, that's not a technique. He's just abhorrently unathletic. The challenger ate knee after knee after knee and was then put in a guillotine choke. The trained fighter did lose some points with us as he acted very unsportsmanlike as he punched the unconscious fighter, but we don't know the backstory. All we know is that this guy came in cocky and left humbled, embarrassed, and sore as hell. Do you think that extra punch was unnecessary? Or do you think, based on how the street fighter was acting, it's safe to say he deserved it? Let us know what you think down below. Football versus BJJ. This huge football player finds out the hard way that lifting weights and getting huge does not inherently make you a good fighter. The jiu-jitsu practitioner takes down the larger man with ease. He used his underhook to off-balance the challenger and then tripped out a leg, giving the larger man only one way to go, and that's down. Once on top, the jiu-jitsu guy easily puts himself in mount position as he's talking to the football player, letting him know how vulnerable he really is, and how bad this would be for him in a street fight where tapping won't always save you. The larger man on the bottom may know how to defend a quarterback, but he sure doesn't know how to defend a rear naked choke. The trained athlete took it easy and let the man off the hook, but he did get his point across. Being big and good at football doesn't make you a good fighter. Do you think the jiu-jitsu guy should have done more, or do you think this was enough? Charlie Zelenoff tastes karma and boxing gloves. You wanted more Charlie Zelenoff footage, and we will deliver, considering there's a lot of it. For those of you that don't know, Charlie is notorious for asking random people to a light spar, then trying to take their heads off. However, he became delusional enough to try his luck against some legitimately skilled fighters. Here we have Charlie taking on a large 16-year-old boxer. The larger fighter circled the perimeter of the octagon as Charlie pumped his jab. Anytime Zelenoff tried to land a big shot, the 16-year-old would shoulder roll to defend these punches. As things progressed, the actual boxer began landing more and more, eventually breaking the nose of Charlie. In typical Zelenoff fashion, he fled the ring once things looked bad for him. He eventually came back, only to be beaten much more savagely. Once again, he fled, but the boxer followed him out this time. The boxing match turned into a full-on fight outside the ring. The 16-year-old showed that he's not just a boxer, but a well-rounded fighter. He kicked Charlie, took him down, and choked him out. Was this satisfying to watch, or do you think Charlie needs help? Let us know where you stand on this. A young boxer challenges an older coach. Does youth trump experience? In a boxing ring, no. This young boxer naively asked one of the older coaches if he'd like to spar. Boxing coaches are there to help, and sparring is a great way to teach. Couple that with being challenged, and we've got some humbling content. The challenger, seen in headgear, has some good fundamentals, but nothing that the coach hasn't seen before. The coach did a beautiful job cutting off the challenger, not letting him circle away from danger. He did this with great footwork, which effectively trapped the challenger against the ropes or cornered him. Body shots landed early and often from the coach, which was a merciful way of telling the challenger that he's nowhere near the coach's level. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We post a lot of content showing these overly cocky challengers learning the hard way that they aren't quite as good as they think. Woman fighter takes on a male beginner. Julija Pajic is a 4-2 professional fighter. She stopped all 4 of her victories, 2 by way of submission, the other 2 via knockout. So yeah, she's no joke. Though the fight itself may not seem too serious, seeing as male versus female bouts are usually a freak show type bout, Julija is as legitimate as they get. She showed that her lead hand was very educated, her jabs and lead hooks landed at will. After dominating this man for the better part of 6 minutes, she landed a combo that consisted of body shots, a knee, and strikes to the head. This was enough for the male to concede and the referee to step in. Did this bout surprise you at all? That does it for this video. Let us know what you want to see next. A friendly reminder to subscribe to the channel. Also, like and share the video if you were entertained.